Qqcl CA and Uscl CA. Article by Kevin Shan of Seeking Alpha, April 28, 2025. Both Qqcc, CA and USCC, CA are covered call ETFs from Global X Canada, formerly Horizon ETFs. Qqcc, CA holds the constituents of the Nasdaq 100 and sells covered calls on the same index, while USCC, CA mirrors the strategy on the S&P 500. The big advantage of these two funds for an income investor is how consistent their distributions are. Instead of maximizing income or maximizing total returns like many covered call funds, both Qqcc, CA and USCC, CA have set distribution targets and will generally only sell enough calls and a strike point to cover those distributions. Rather than try to min-max returns, this has allowed the two funds to maintain their NAV while offering 10% plus distributions so far. Payouts of Uscl and Qqcl will ultimately still exceed that of Qqcc, CA and USCC, CA unless interest rates rise or call premiums fall to the point where the interest costs exceed the dividend payouts offered by Qqcc, CA and USCC, CA. This is very unlikely considering that interest expenses for Qqcl, CA in 2024 were $619K on the $30 million borrowed. This is effectively an interest rate of 2.06%. Similarly, USCL, CA paid an average rate of 2.73% with an interest expense of $1 million on their $38 million borrowed. Essentially, interest rates must go up by more than 5 times for interest expenses to exceed dividend payouts. Considering Qqcc, CA and USCC, CA typically yield above 10%, or call option premiums on the S&P 500, and Nasdaq 100 need to fall significantly and continue trending lower. There are no immediate catalysts that would cause either of these events to happen, especially at the rates that are needed. Thus, investing in USCL CA and Qqcl CA as core covered call income holdings makes a lot of sense when you focus on the income. USCL CA and Qqcl CA will basically always offer higher payouts than USCC, CA and Qqcc, CA at the cost of higher volatility. Readers who have read some of my other articles, like my opinion on JEPI, will know that my philosophy for income investors is that one should be far less worried about their day-to-day portfolio, value changes and more concerned about the volatility of their income stream. Yes, we now know that USCL, CA and Qqcl, CA don't offer nearly as stable of a dividend payout in down markets, but there is a base level that USCL CA and Qqcl CA are extremely unlikely to fall under. That base level is the payouts that USCC, CA and Qqcc, CA offer. My recommendation would be to look at USCC, CA and Qqcc, CA's distributions and use those numbers for your financial budgeting and reinvest any distribution exceeding the base level payment to grow your income stream. The higher volatility in USCL, CA and Qqcl, CA relative to USCC, CA and Qqcc, CA will also match similarly to the underlying S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100 indices themselves. Or in other words, if you're happy holding the S&P 500 or Nasdaq 100 as an index investor, USCL CA and Qqcl, CA will offer a similar experience but for income investors, with Qqcl, CA and USCL, CA offering similar total returns as the Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500 indices, but in income form. These are two strong income holdings for Canadian income investors. Higher volatility simply means more opportunities to grow your income stream at a lower price. As the Nasdaq 100 and S&P 500 are both indices unlikely to collapse over the long term, investors should not be afraid of sell-offs or distribution cuts and can take an aggressive investing stance if possible and use downturns as an opportunity to lock in high yield on costs.